Well, I don't know how many folks here are familiar at all with oil wells or oil drilling or any of this. So I'm just going to start with some basics. Basically, the well is right here. That's your wellhead. And of course, the way the well is drilled is originally there's three strings of casing in the hole. In other words, you drill, for instance, I think in this particular well, we drill a fairly large hole to around 900 feet. We run 8 and 5/8 or 9 and 5/8. I'm not sure what size is in here. I think it's 8 and 5/8. Casing in the hole. That's to seal off all your possibilities of water contamination from above. And then it's cemented. You pump cement down the interior of the casing, and the cement comes up on the outside of your casing between the hole and the casing, and plugs off everything above that. So that way you're sealed off from any fresh water. Then you went in and we drilled. I think this well went to about 98 or 9900, maybe 9800. We drill a 7 7/8 inch hole that's actually by the drilling rig is drilled. And then when we run casing, we ran 5.5 inch casing in the hole, and it is cemented at the bottom of the hole. I'm not sure where the top of the cement is. It's probably cemented up. We use enough cement to displace up to probably about 7,000 feet. That's just a rough estimate. Okay, so you got your casing in the hole. Then, at that time, you come in and you run your geology is pretty well done as far as your open hole and samples and all that. At that time, you come in and run your bond log, they call it, see if your cement is good, adhered to the formation and the casing. And you actually run a gamma ray to know exactly where you're at on the formation, and you shoot holes in it, either jet or actually bullets, it depends, in this formation. And then you go in, and of course you usually run in 2 7/8 inch tubing here with what they call a packer on it. And they break this down with some acid to kind of clean up the perfs, clean the thing up, get all the junk out of the hole. Then in this particular case, we pulled the tubing and fracked it down the casing with water. And I think they had a rate in this particular well of around 100 barrels a minute. Now they fracked two different zones separately. They fracked the Viola zone, and then they set a plug on it. It's a deeper zone. Then they come up and perforated the Hunting and fracked it, and then they pulled them both and put it all together and start producing a well. Of course, initially it makes a lot of water because you got to put so much in it. I think they used around 35,000 barrels of water and they put it in there. Now I think the well is making about close to 60 or 70 barrels a day of oil. It's been done that for about a year now, I think. And it's making about probably 40 barrels of water. The water's going down. Now the way it produces, then after you got your casing, if it would be a natural well that had the gas pressure to flow, you actually wouldn't need the pumping unit, it'd be flowing. But in this case, we had to run in with your rods. There's a string of rods in there below this with the pump on the bottom. Now the pump works off a series of balls. You got a upstroke on one ball on the pump, one that comes down. So that's what keeps your oil from falling back down. And this is your actual line coming out here off of your tubing. It goes into your tubing and your casing that's tied together, and it goes over to the tank battery where you produce your oil. The little green thing is simply injecting probably xylene or some kind of a solvent into the well to keep paraffin. A lot of times oil will not have so much paraffin in it deep, but as it comes up it gets cooler and your paraffin starts breaking out, and so that's to solve that problem. Coming from there, you go over here to your tank battery. And this is what they call a heater treater. In other words, what it is, your fluid is going into your heater treater because the oil and water and everything's kind of mixed up. So you have heat involved in that. It breaks out your water and breaks out your oil. In other words, as you heat it, you get your oil out. And then your gas, this is a gas separator. Then you go into your gas. The gas goes off and goes into your meter run. That's your gas line right over there with the white. That's your meter run. This is measuring how much.
Yesterday's volume, 100.
Yeah, that's all. Anymore now, it's all hooked up to. Yeah, it was yesterday's. This is the station.
That
this is
broadcasted
today.
out to somebody's collecting all of that.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
But these are real nice deals anymore. It used to be you had a house out on the location and had a chart that drew a week at a time, and you had to convert all that. This capacity of this, of course, once you get it filled up, I don't know how many barrels it holds, then it starts dumping your oil into the 2 tanks to the left, and your water is in this first tank. And of course, it's all being hauled out, as you can see where the connections are, trucked out is the way they have to haul it in here.
How long does it take to fill up these?
Well, it depends on your well. For instance, this well, I think they're 300 barrel tanks. Now, if the well makes 60, they usually haul a load of oil about every 180 barrels. So that takes, say, 3 days to get a load. Now, of course, it varies. There's some of them, sometimes if the weather's bad, they'll fill one up. They don't ever keep them empty.
Right. So you have to actually.
Oh, you have to haul it or it'd keep running over, yeah. And so one tank, if it was full, it'd feed over into the other one. So that's the reason to have a pumper out here every day, gauging the tanks, determining when they need to haul oil and haul water.